Now let's take a look at what's happening in Egypt. Of course, the preliminary deal for a $12 billion IMF loan program can go to the board for approval only if the government secures $5 to $6 billion in bilateral financing for the first year. And that's according to the head of the IMF mission in Cairo, Chris Jarvis. The International Monetary Fund said earlier it had agreed in principle to grant Egypt a $12 billion three-year facility to support a government reform program aimed at plugging a budget gap and rebalancing the currency market. The long-awaited deal is subject to final approval by the IMF Executive Committee, which should meet in the coming weeks. Egypt agreed in December a $3 billion World Bank loan program and a $1.5 billion African Development Bank program, both to be disbursed over 3 years. Okay, let's see what's happening at the debt market for today. And I'm being joined by fixed income trader at Access Bank, Buki Arebeshola. Good afternoon, Buki.
Good afternoon.
So what's the general market sentiment today? Any major development?
What we saw today in the fixed income market was CBN announcing OMO auctions. They announced 2. And what that did to the market was to cause selling pressures, really, because what we had seen before now was buying pressures for the past 1 week. Investors had seen the yields as very attractive and have been having heavy demand. But today, when the OMO auctions were announced, we saw a lot of selling pressures in anticipation of higher yields at the OMO auction.
So what is the current yield right now compared to the opening yield?
So at the moment, on the Treasury bills market, we have seen an increase in yields by about an average of 100 basis points. And then on the bond side, we've seen an average of about 50 basis points increase in yields.
As the week ends today, what are your expectations for next week? Oh, well, we've talked about the bond auctions, of course, coming up. What are other expectations?
The major attraction for next week would be the fact that the August 16 bonds are maturing and the volume is about 500 billion, coupled with the fact that we also have a treasury bill maturity of about 100 billion as well. So that's a lot of liquidity coming into the market. And what that's going to do is to make the central bank announce several OMO auctions next week. So, and also is the fact that there are going to be 2 PMA auctions. So on the bond side and on the treasury bill side as well. So next week is definitely going to be a busy week. But all in all, the resultant effect should be the fact that yields will definitely rise. So on the bond side, we expect that yields will be higher than the last auction, maybe by about 30 basis points. And on the treasury bill side, we'll definitely see around about 100 basis points increase.
Right, thank you very much for your time, Buki. I'll move on now to South Africa, where the National Union of Mine Workers ended a strike at power utility Eskom that started on Monday after signing a 2-year wage deal. Eskom said in a statement it had signed a 2-year wage deal with the National Union of Mine Workers and Solidarity Union, granting the lowest paid workers increases of 10% and other employees 8.5%. Eskom was previously offering pay increases of 7 to 9%, while the NUM, whose members were on strike, had on Tuesday lowered its wage demand to between 8.5 to 10% from 12 to 13%. The company, the sole power provider in Africa's most industrialized country, has said that the strike had so far not affected electricity supply. And finally, on the program, Botswana Central Bank has cut its benchmark lending rates by 50 basis points to 5.5% to boost growth in the southern African nation. The bank said in a statement that the current state of the economy and both the domestic and external economic outlook, as well as the inflation forecast, provide scope for easing monetary policy to support economic activity. And with that, we come to the end of the program for today and, of course, for the week. Thank you very much for watching and enjoy your weekend.